Dear students, in my previous video, we learned about appearance and hardness. Okay. Today, I am going to discuss about next properties of matter, that is solubility. Solubility is defined as the property to completely dissolve. So, solubility is defined as the property to completely dissolve. See, if we take some sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand and sawdust and try to mix it with water, what you see? You can see that some substance like salt, sugar have completely disappeared or dissolved in water. On the other hand, sand, chalk powder, sawdust do not mix with water and do not disappear even after if we stir it for long time. Okay, so depend on this solubility, materials are of two types: soluble materials and insoluble materials. So substances that completely disappear or dissolve in water are soluble in water, like salt, sugar. Insoluble substances, the substances that do not mix with water and do not disappear even after if we stir it for long time. Example of insoluble substances are sand, oil, chalk powder, sawdust. Okay. Now let's see and table C. Sugar soluble in water, salt soluble in water, sand insoluble in water, chalk powder, sawdust insoluble in water. Next, like solid, some liquids get completely mixed with water. See example, vinegar, lemon juice. Okay. So, like solid, some liquids get completely mixed with water. Okay. And some other liquid are there which do not mix with water and form a separate layer when kept aside for some time. Example, mustard oil, coconut oil, kerosene. Okay, these do not mix with water and form a separate layer when kept aside for some time. Okay, now some gases are soluble in water, whereas others are not. Remember, oxygen, carbon dioxide, this type of gas are soluble in water, whereas methane, nitrogen, these are also gases but do not dissolve in water. Again, oxygen, carbon dioxide are soluble in water, but nitrogen, methane type gas do not dissolve in water. So, some gases are soluble in water, whereas others are not. Water usually has small quantities of some gases dissolve in it. For example, oxygen gas dissolved in water is very important for the survival of animals and plants that live in water. Okay. I hope you understand this solubility. Again I say, solubility is defined as the property to completely dissolve. Okay. Next, the property that we are going to learn, that is float or sink. Objects may float or sink in water. This depends on the density of this substance. First, you must know that what is density. Density is mass per unit volume. Density of a substance is mass per unit volume. So, depending on this density, objects may float or sink in water. Objects which are denser than water sink, whereas objects which are less denser than water will float on water. Understand? See the example. If we take some plastic bottle, rubber ball, paper boat, dry leaves that are float in water, whereas sand, stones, coins, okay, these are sink in water. Okay, so depending on density, objects may float or sink in water. Okay, I hope you understand that. And now I am reach at the last property of substances, that is transparency. Based on this transparency, materials are of three types. One is called transparent, next opaque and translucent. One by one we read these transparent materials, opaque materials, translucent materials. First, see the picture. The boy take three types of substances, and the first substances we cannot see the face of the boy. With the second substance we see the face of the boy but not clearly, and in the third substance we see the face of the boy clearly. So depending on this transparency, materials are of three types. First, transparent materials, those substances or materials through which things can be seen. Those substances or materials through which things can be seen are called transparent materials. Example, glass, water, air and some plastics are example of transparent material. Next, opaque materials. Materials through which we are not able to see are called opaque materials. Materials through which we are not able to see are called opaque materials. Okay, wood, metals, plastic, cardboard, wall, tree, etc. are example of opaque materials. Now, the material through which objects can be seen but not clearly. The material through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent materials. Butter paper, oily patch on paper are example of translucent materials. Okay, so materials through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent materials. Students, if you take one page, okay, or paper, and you just throw some drop of oil on it, it becomes a translucent paper. So objects can be seen through this paper but not clearly. So if you take an paper and drop some oil on it, then it forms a translucent paper. Okay, again, one activity I just told you, that if you take a glass of a torch, if you glass of a torch means if you cover the glass of a torch with your palm at a dark place, and now you switch on the torch and observe the other side of the palm. Okay, so you take one torch and cover the glass of the torch with your palm at a dark place and switch on the torch and observe the other side of the palm. You can see that our palm is not totally opaque. Our palm is not totally opaque. You can see some amount of light but not clearly. Okay, so our palm is act as a translucent material. Okay, so our palm act as a translucent material. Okay, so based on this transparency, materials are of three types: transparent material, opaque material and translucent materials. Last point we come that why sorting of materials or objects is needed. The question is why sorting of materials or objects is needed. The name of the chapter is sorting materials into groups. Why why sorting of materials or objects is needed? Actually, we often group materials for our convenience. Okay, at home we usually store things in such a manner that similar objects are placed together. At home we usually store things in such a manner that similar objects are placed together. Such an arrangement helps us to locate them easily. Similarly, a grocer usually keeps all types of biscuits in one corner of his shop, all shops at another, while grains and pulses are stored at some other place. Okay, so we often group materials for our convenience. Okay, another reason is that dividing materials in groups makes it convenient to study their property and also observe any patterns in these properties. Okay, another reason is that dividing materials in groups makes it convenient to study their properties and also observe any patterns in these properties. Okay, you watch this video and read the NCERT thoroughly. Okay, if you face any doubt, then contact me. Okay.